Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the new season of the Bundesliga show 24-25. We're back with a bang. We're back to predict the end table of the Bundesliga season. Absolutely thrilled to be back. Mark, how the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I was just enjoying the new intro actually as well. That's the first time I've seen that one. Yeah, so I think that's a nice improvement as well. Let us know what you think of that as well. But yeah, all's good my end. Yeah, it's pretty hot over here in Germany as well at the minute. Late 20s to 30 every day, so enjoying the summer sun and just looking forward to getting back into the new season. Really, it seems like it's been quite a while since we were on regularly, doesn't it, Rory? And can't wait to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. We've both had a nice break. Been doing different bits and bobs, haven't we? We've tried to stay away from doing any kind of content here and there. We jumped on to do a few reactionary videos, but I think we both just wanted to enjoy the Euros and have a bit of a break, which we've done. And now we're rested and we are ready to crack on, basically. So, yeah, we're going to start off this season. Pre-season, we're going early. We wanted to kick off with this prediction show mainly because of schedules and obviously me and Mark trying to line things up because we love doing the show. So I think we have to put a caveat in there that our predictions, we might change them as the season or as the weeks go on, because of course teams are making transfers, day in, day out. We've seen the confirmation of Fulkrug today. Pacho's just been signed up by, PSG. Things are moving very quickly, which, might impact. And at the end of the day, we want to do this because we want to have a bit of fun to kickstart the season, have a good go at it. So, we'll do that in a second. Obviously, a few bits of admin as per. Obviously, wanted to give a big shout out to our two partners who we've re-signed with for this season. So, yeah, we're in partnership again with Bully News. Obviously, brilliant content that you get from bullynews.com. From a fantasy football perspective, we'll be carrying on doing the fantasy shows. We will do a fantasy draft near the start of the season with Runa. So absolutely fantastic. And we're super, super pleased to be working with those guys again. So do keep your eyes peeled for more news and kind of shows in that sense. And of course, we are also in partnership with the brilliant Bundesliga boxes. If you haven't seen already, we're also doing a giveaway. Doing a giveaway for a Bundesliga box from batch 43, which is not out yet. We're going to run it for pretty much the entire month. It only went out yesterday. So go over to X, aka Twitter, find the details and get yourself entered into that. And also very exciting for viewers, followers of the show, is that we've also, in association, in partnership with Bundesliga Boxes, managed to get what is basically a secret code, a secret web link from Bundesliga Boxes to access batch 43 earlier than anyone else. So anyone that's watching this video, the link is in the description. Absolutely fantastic for the guys from Bundesliga Boxes to be doing this with us. And so, it's up to you guys to make the most of that opportunity. So, yeah, link in the description of this video. Go check it out. Get yourself one early before anyone else can. Absolutely privileged. So, yeah, that's basically everything. Of course, we want you to get involved early on this season. So make sure you give a thumbs up for the show. Obviously, comment along. Can already see Justin's tuning in. Top man, thanks for getting involved already, Justin. Hope you're doing well. And subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you're ready to see all our content for this season. So, Mark, we're going to kick off with predictions. We had good fun with this every single season. And as you can all see on screen, we've got ourselves a little tier maker list. While we're going to plot out. So we're going to go in reverse order as per is tradition and work our way up. So the way that we're going to work tonight is that me and Mark are kind of going to go through the different sections and just obviously kind of explain who we think will fit into these categories. then we'll kind of work it out together with a bit of a rationale. So again, engagement wise, get your thoughts in, help us out as we go. And yeah, we should have fun with it. So Mark, I'll allow you first honours at having relegation, because you can look like the bad guy. Give us your 2 automatic relegation candidates that you're predicting will go straight down at the end of the 24-25 season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big question to start us off, isn't it? And I know I must have mentioned this about 25 times, but I did get this correct last year as well. So yeah, hopefully we can double up this time. But I think my 18th place position is probably not too much of a shock in truth, and it's going to be FC St. Pauli. I just feel as though obviously the loss of the manager to Brighton and Hove Albion, along with the loss of Hartel, who was their top scorer, to St. Louis over in the USA, a little bit of a shock, really, that transfer, given it would have been a chance for, a Bundesliga season for him as a first choice striker. But he's decided to move on to pastures new, as well as the German-American manager who's got on to Brighton and Hove Albion. So they are in a bit of a pickle, I'm going to be honest. And to be honest, I've not been overly impressed at all, really, with the business that they've done so far. There's been very, very little in terms of transfers in, anything major that I can see so far. And I just feel as though the way they finished last season, they kind of scrambled over the line, really, in a way. And I just feel as though they're going to really struggle this year, I'm going to be honest. So another part of my rationale for this is that normally one promoted team always finishes bottom. Basically, it's pretty much a rule of the Bundesliga. Like, this always happens, pretty much. And I do believe it'll be one of those two in Pauli and Kiel. And I do believe it'll be St. Pauli. I just think the upheaval they've had before the season stands them in no kind of stead. Obviously, they do have some players, the likes of Afolayan, will be an interesting one to watch. But obviously, I'm not going to ruin too much on them, because we will do a special show on them as well to kind of preview their chances this season. But for me, I'm sorry, Pauli fans. I know there's a lot of English fans out there of FC St. Pauli, but for me, they are going to finish bottom, unfortunately. Then... Okay. What do you think, Roy? Did you also go for Pauli, or have you got other thoughts there?
Give me your other team in the bottom 2, and then I'll pipe up.
So my other team, I'm not sure whether this would be a shock or whether a lot of people have got it, but it's actually going to be last season's surprise package. It's Heidenheim. I've got to finish 17th. I just feel as though to say they've been ramshackled is an understatement. Basically, Kleindienst, Bester, Dingchi, Sessa all departed the club in a short space of time. That's basically their entire front line. Coupled with the fact they've got Europa Conference League as well, I do believe they have to win a playoff in order to get into the group. So maybe they'd be better just throwing that, to be honest with you, if I'm being completely truthful, because with an extra 6 games as well, traveling here, there, and everywhere over Europe is going to make a hard task and borderline impossible one for me. For St. Pauli, for Heidenheim, I feel as though they've got to sign. They've got to start signing, because I've not really seen anything, to be honest, of any sort of, to give you any sort of hope, really. I mean, they brought in a couple of guys from the likes of Darmstadt, but it's not anything that's going to really get you excited at all, basically. And for me, last year I tipped them to do well. I tipped them to survive, which they did. They exceeded their expectations, but for me, they are in dire straits at the minute. I'm going to be honest. I just don't see how they can hold the class this year again. Just looking again at the transfers, they have brought in the likes of Mikkel Kaufmann, but he did absolutely nothing for me at Union Berlin last year. I mean, he's not the kind of guy that's going to inspire confidence, really. They have brought in the expertly named Sir Lord Conte as well from Paderborn, but again, is he the kind of guy that's going to get you excited? Is he going to be good enough to replace the likes of Jan Nicholas Bester? I'm sorry, guys, but it's Heidenheim to finish second bottom. Have you gone for the same, Rory, or do you have a different view?
I have not gone for either of the same two.
Wow.
So this could take us a while, but we'll work through it. So I've got Holstein Kiel to finish 18th. A a lot of the rationale, I think, for Kiel is similar to what you voiced in terms of saying Pauli. Kiel are completely newcomers to the Bundesliga, full stop. Obviously, there are a lot of players that, even I'm not super familiar with, which I'll take my time and have been trying to get to know them in the last few weeks. That just straight away it feels like a really big step up for them. There's a couple of names from a kind of more casual Bundesliga fan might know in the likes of Lewis Holtby, for example. Obviously, will be a key man to help them, stay in the league if it's all possible. Obviously, they've got Arp as well, who's the striker, formerly a prospect at Bayern, but his goal scoring record isn't exactly amazing. So the likes of Becker, Skibberski, and Pitchler will obviously need to step up as well. These three and others could be names that absolutely thrive in the Bundesliga and make that step up. But I feel for Kiel it's a similar situation to Darmstadt in terms of enjoy yourself in the league, in terms of the outing that they'll have, try and nick a few wins here and there, and get yourself the money to stabilise and continue for seasons going forwards. That's what I have for them. My other team at the moment in automatics is VfL Bochum. Again, reasonings is that they shouldn't even be, well, in theory, they shouldn't even be in the league now because they made the great escape against Fortuna via the playoffs last season. Great respect to them for turning that around. But I think there's a lot of questions for them to answer. Squad-wise, again, they've been completely depleted, and that's through obviously players' contracts running out. So losing Stoiger is huge. Other players that have left, Antwiace, Sarno, Schlotterbeck's gone back to his parent club and also now been moved on. Plus, it's fairly likely or very likely that Bernardo's being moved on. What on earth are they doing with Riemann in net? Obviously, they brought in Timo Horn, former Köln boy. Is he going to be the number one? What are they doing with Riemann? I think that's still to be debated. And then up top for Bochum, they've only really got Hoffmann and Gerrit Holtmann still belongs to Bochum in theory, so he's gone back to them. The Bochum Messi, what can he do? So I just feel they're completely short and they're going to massively struggle. If it helps, my bottom four include St. Pauli and Heidenheim. So who have you got? Have you got Kiel and Bochum as your other two?
Yes, I do actually, ironically. But I've actually gone for Bochum as in the playoff spot. Okay. More based on previous seasons, I've gone for Kiel to just about avoid relegation in 15 because I just feel as though it's very rare that two promoted teams go down. And I've actually gone for the opposite of you. I actually think Kiel look a little bit better placed than Pauli at the minute because they lost a manager, they lost the top scorer. I think Kiel have kept pretty much their entire squad and they have also spent a little bit more money than Pauli as well. And to be honest, I watched both of these two teams live last season and I actually was more impressed by Kiel, in truth. I felt as though they looked a little bit better than Pauli. Pauli I found to be quite rigid by the end of the season, a little bit more defensive and relatively hard to watch at times, to be honest. Although early season, they weren't that kind of team. But Kiel have also brought in Gigovic and Knudsen as well. So they've shown a little bit of ambition, both for around 2 million euros. So it's not exactly mega bucks we're talking here, but it's a little bit of ambition. But Bochum, one other little thing I want to say on Bochum is that I initially had them down as bottom, actually. But then when I checked the signings, they have actually brought in a few good frees. They brought in, for example, Audets, they managed to get on a free as well, on a permanent. I feel as though he's a solid signing. They also got Danny De Witt as well, who's an attacking midfielder, I presume, as a replacement for Sturger from AZ Alkmaar. He's got a market worth on transfer market of 5 million. So that's a decent looking signing. They've also brought in Ibrahima Sissoko from Strasbourg, who has a market worth of 6 million. So these are decent rated players by Bochum standards. But obviously, let's be honest, we don't know for sure if they're going to be any good. So basically, I totally see what you mean, Rory, and I've gone for them to finish third bottom. But I feel as though Bochum have got maybe a bit more catch than the other three. So maybe they could get a few good loans in before the end of the window. So as things stand, I would go for them for a second straight playoff season, and Kiel by hook or by crook to avoid the relegation mire. Basically, that's what I've gone for. But what are we going for? I mean, I can agree with you on Bochum. I think I'll be more willing to agree on Bochum to go down. Yeah.
So I like your explanation of the Kiel St. Pauli kind of paradox here. So I'm willing to meet you halfway in terms of putting Pauli there. Obviously, them losing the manager and Hartel is huge. That it puts them on the back foot. So let's
Pauli and Bochum, we can agree on that. Yeah.
And we'll put in Bochum. That's fine. I'll put them the other way around. So Pauli 18th.
Yeah.
Bochum 17th. So playoff wise, then we've got the conversation of Heidenheim and Kiel. Do we feel? I mean, I honestly don't. It's a really tricky one to call. Heidenheim have obviously got the experience of one full season in the Bundesliga. Naturally, from a signings point of view, Heidenheim, obviously, losing Kleindienstbester, Sessa, Pick, Dinci is huge. I like the signing of Honsack. Certainly like him better than Kaufmann. They have got that young Bayern player, Vanna. So he could be, that could be a really astute signing. I think the problem is, of course, Heidenheim will always concede a lot of goals, and I don't see that changing from a defensive point of view just yet. So, the only thing that's pushing me for Heidenheim is just the experience of one season in the league. That's what I'm struggling with for Kiel. Obviously, Kiel probably a bit better because you follow the Zweite more than I do. Obviously, with Nuremberg's interest, so. If you want to argue the case for Kiel again, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we probably can go with Kiel because thinking about it, I think Heidenheim, they have shown a little bit of ambition, as you say, but I'm just not overly excited by. There is one guy actually who I'm going to big up here, Leo Cienza. Actually, myself and Peter saw him for Ulm, SSV Ulm, and he got one of the best assists I've ever seen live in a game. But the thing is, to step up from third league, from the Dritte Liga to the Bundesliga is one hell of a step up. So I am a little bit concerned. But I can see why somebody had more hope for Heidenheim. They've been there and done it. They stayed up with tons of room to spare last year, but I just feel as though the fact that the whole front line has been ripped out is extremely concerning, plus the potential European tour as well. I mean, they've got work to do in the transfer market, but there are a couple of promising signings in there, which makes me think maybe they could, but I can see why someone would go with Kiel over them. But yeah, let's go with that then.
Let's lock that in, Grand, because we'll be here all night otherwise, won't we? Right, let's move on to lower mid-table. And as I'm about to say, this is where it gets tricky, even though we've spent a good amount of time already on the bottom four. We're locking in Heidenheim for 15th and just surviving. So we need 12, 13, and 14. To lock in. So for me, just tentatively, I'll throw out the three teams I have, 12th to 14th. 14th, I have Augsburg, 13th, Union, and 12th, Werder. I can give a bit of explanation, but do you want to just throw out the teams that you have next?
So two of them we could put straight in there. Two of them, I've gone exactly with you, Augsburg in 14th. Because I just feel as though they're another team that have lost key players. Mbabu, and Demirovic are extreme losses. They were their best two players last season. And also the potential Udokai has been linked with a move as well for a long time. So, and I've not been again, they're another one. Augsburg always bring in kind of right field signings, don't they? But yeah, I'm not sure realistically whether they can replace, pretty much 30 goals and assists from Demirovic last season. I think it was 17 goals and 12 assists or something. So again, that's a massive loss for a team like Augsburg. And so far, none of the players there can even get close to that for me. So I've gone for them to drop back down to kind of lower mid-table after a mid-table finish of 11th last season. Then I've also gone for Union, but I've gone for them 12th, but it's still the same area. I feel as though the fact that they brought in Bo Svensson will improve them a little bit, because I do rate Svensson a lot, and I don't think they'll go down simply because of Svensson, even though they were extremely poor last season. But again, they're another one. They've made a lot of kind of hit and hope kind of signings, I would say. The likes of Lajlo Benesh from Hamburg, a player that's rated, but he's very lightweight, and whether he can really do it in the Bundesliga is up for debate. He kind of split opinions of the Hamburg fan base as well, so he wasn't an all-around hit there. They've also bought in the likes of Pritayin as well, who I think I also seen him live last season at VM Wiesbaden. He was a player that impressed me, but again, can he make the step up to the Bundesliga? He does look like an Union striker, though, I will be honest. He is the kind of player that, I think we mentioned him on a previous show, that he looks promising. And then a couple of others that I can't really profess to know that much about. They both brought in a central defender, Kehrfeld from Rapid Vienna. So, they have shown a little bit of ambition, but I don't see enough there to get them back up towards like mid-table European places. But then I've not gone for Werder, although I can see why you would put Werder in there. I've gone for them in the upper bracket, kind of higher mid-table. But I've actually gone maybe for a shock here, but SC Freiburg I've gone for as the other team, because I just feel as though Freiburg, again, rookie manager, rookie team, not been overly impressed with their signings as well. So that was my shot. But we could put Union in there, because I think they will be lower mid-table, I think.
Right, let's lock in Union. So I think rationale wise, I think that's quite clear for me. Augsburg definitely losing those two. How far can Torup take this side is a big question. They'll be flirting with relegation again. Although I do, that team or that squad at the moment is quite heavy in midfield. I think that's where they'll be strongest. Dorsch, Engels, Jakic, Rex Bajai. Not too bad. And agree in terms of Union. Svensson coming in is good. Probably the best signing they've made, if you can count it as a signing, for sure. So, okay, so we're now got to try and lock in our 12th place team. So you've got Freiburg. I have Freiburg in 9th, so a fairly big-ish change. The teams that I have in between that bracket, and I think again we won't have too many shocks. We just need to sort out the order. I've got Gladbach 11th and Mainz 10th. For Gladbach, of course, Gerardo Seoane gets another chance to improve on last season, which is not something a lot of people expected. But I like it. I like a manager having time. So I respect that. Of course, they've made two big signings in the shape of Sturger and Kleindienst. That just add quality and goals to that squad. Of course, they still look vulnerable at the back, and they'll still have strengths going forward. And I think they look super strong in midfield / on the wings. If you add in Stoiger to having, depending on if they keep players, of course, they'll still have Kone, Rocco Wright, Honorat, Weigl, Hack, Ngumu. That's a midfield packed with potential. You'll have Chavanchara hopefully back fit all season, who is a player with potential. So that's why I figured they'll be better, but I still think they'll be up and down. So where have you got Gladbach?
Yeah, ironically, I've gone for the same as you in 11th and 10th. I've gone for Gladbach as 11th.
Okay.
But with Gladbach, it's always been a case. We all know that their squad is better than 11th. Ultimately, they should be able to finish in the top half with that squad, really. But the problem is that they're just never able to get anything together, are they? I think Mainz will improve under Henriksen. I don't see any worries about them. I think they'll go back to where they were before. I think it's a good squad. They've signed well. Another player I'm looking forward to seeing for Mainz, by the way, is Armando Sieb. He was at Greuther Fürth the last 2 years. Then Bayern signed him back and loaned him out to Mainz. So it's a little bit of a confusing story. But myself and Peter saw him last year, and we were mighty impressed with him. We actually saw him 3 times, and I think in those 3 games he scored 4 goals. So as a wide forward, so he's some player, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him. I think Mainz are really looking strong. You know, Johnny Burkhardt could be back to form as well. He finished the season brilliantly. So, yeah, they're going to have a strong year, Mainz, for me. It still probably won't be enough to get in the top half, but it's going to be a good season for them. Yeah, we're struggling to find that other team in lower mid-table, aren't we? Yeah.
So,
I mean, Werder I actually had as 9th. I actually have Werder as 9th because I think... But this was more based on, I just think they're a strong home team, and I think they've got a settled squad more than anything. Not that I think it's like a really, really strong squad, but I just feel as though they're a very good home team, and you know they've got a good manager in Ole Werner. So yeah, what are we going for? Are we going for Werder or Freiburg? Can you see Freiburg potentially slipping down under a rookie manager and maybe having lost a few players as well?
Yeah, no, 100% can. I did struggle with Freiburg. My kind of my notes on Freiburg were obviously the man who's come in, Julian Schuster, has been part of the Freiburg family for a long time. He's like kind of been nurtured into this role for many years. I think they've had him nailed down for that. He's worked with the club and the youth system. But yeah, ultimately it's kind of like it's like the same but different. So I like the additions of Dinci, Osterhager, Max Phillips. Loan's been made permanent, which is fine. Losing Atabolu though for an unknown period of time is quite a worry, I feel, for them. They haven't lost too many players. And again, midfield, they look quite strong with Grifo, Raul, Doan, Shalai, Eggestein, Weishaupt. So I like that core, but I can see them under a rookie manager potentially slip in. My kind of probably rationale on putting Werder lower. And at one point, I did have Werder probably in 9th at one point. I've changed my prediction so many times. Is that just that I hadn't seen enough incoming? But I really like Ole Werner. I just think one big blow is obviously losing Voltemade for no money. So we'll slot in Freiburg as 12th. I'll make the sacrifice play. So we'll put them 12th. Or maybe I'll tell you what. Then if we put Freiburg there, let's put Werder slightly lower.
Yeah,
we put them 11th. I can remit putting Gladbach and Mainz slightly further up as well, the way that I've kind of talked them up in my head. Okay, so we have that locked in right now. The top 7, of course, we're going to do it as European spots, so 5, 6, 7. Champions League.
I think we need one more team in the mid-table. Yeah, I think we need one more team in 8th, right, as well. Yeah, I think we're only up to 9th. Yeah, so I've gone for 8th. I've gone for Hoffenheim, actually.
Same.
In 8th because I just feel as though I did have them higher, potentially 6th or 7th, but all of this with Pellegrino Matarazzo and potentially Bayer moving on as well has definitely knocked them down a fair bit. Although they have signed Prass, who was impressive in the Euros for Austria.
Yeah.
So, we all know that Hoffenheim have got the money. If Bayer does move on, then they'll sign someone decent to replace him. But for me, Bayer is a player that's going places, and you really want to keep him for another year, ideally. And I think it would also be a good signing for Dortmund as well if they could get a hold of him. But yeah, I think Hoffenheim will still be solid, but I think there's a big chance they're going to lose Materazzo. That's the problem. And at the end of the day, Pellegrino Materazzo's done a really good job at Hoffenheim to rebuild them into a top half team again. I mean, it's not been perfect by any means, but at the end of the day, he got them into 7th last year, which was a solid finish in my eyes. And I feel as though there was some good football played as well, some good signings. So they will definitely miss him if he goes. And who they bring in, well, that's anybody's guess, really. But yeah, we can agree on them just to miss out on European football this season. So yeah, take us through your 5th to 7th then, Rory. I'll let you tell us what you've gone for there first.
5th to 7th. So in 7th, I have Wolfsburg. Another bit of a fresh start in a sense. Well, anyway, a full season for Hasen Hutel to get his, fingers into. Obviously, steered them clear of relegation. Without completely amazing. But obviously more as expected. They have such a talented squad. I want to see them scoring more goals more freely. If they get Nemecha back fit for a full season, him with Vind, Thomas, Kevin Behrens, and obviously another striker that they pulled in is Amura from Union Saint-Gilloise, who looks like quite a talent. So I feel like they should have enough up top to push forward and win quite a lot of games that way. I think they look solid in midfield enough. Defensively okay. Obviously Casteels has moved on, so they'll just need to make sure that whoever replaces him is up to the task. So yeah, I expect them to have a stronger season, or at least they should do. 6th, Frankfurt. Again, this is where I think it gets a little bit easier for me. Again, now that Top Moller has got a full season under his belt, they'll be looking for a more consistent season and not be as far away from that top 5. I think the team is looking slightly different because a lot of loan signings went back to their parent clubs. Obviously, ultimately, it didn't work out for Kalajdzic, unfortunately, because of injury. Van der Beek's gone back. But Mark, of course, we're very excited to experience Chan Uzun. It's not. Of course, signed from your boys Nuremberg. You can talk about him in a second. Also excited to see Oscar Hoyland, the brother of Rasmus, being signed by the club. A couple of Leeds players, so Christensen on loan and Koch now being made permanent. And then I think Ekitike could be one of the breakout stars this season. He looked very, very comfortable and capable once he got that first goal and started to really, really push forwards. And if he has a full season like that, there's no reason why I don't see he'll really push on. 6th, Frankfurt, and 5th, my boys, Stuttgart. A natural drop off, but I'm usually a pessimist with my own teams, but I just can't see them. I don't see, maybe Frankfurt, maybe Wolfsburg if they really improve. I just can't see Stuttgart dropping any further based on the business that they've done in anticipation of losing their star players, the way that they're playing under Hoeneß. Obviously, the big worry is how they manage Champions League football and how they cope with playing in Europe and playing twice a week. A lot of added games with the Super Cup. That's 9 added games straight away. Absolutely can see them coming in 5th place.
Sorry, I had to laugh there at Ballam's comment. Sorry about that one. Yeah, you've got the comment of the season so far there, Ballam.
Thanks very much. Yeah, superb. Started with me to go on, love it. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well anyway, Ballam, and enjoying the first show. So Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Wolfsburg. Do you agree?
I do, like word for word, basically. Yeah, I've gone for exactly the same as you. Yeah, I think, and you explained it well too. I think Wolfsburg, I think more than anything, I'm impressed with Hasenhüttl. I've always been a big fan of his, Ralph Hasenhüttl. I used to like him right back from his RB Leipzig days. And then obviously in his time at Southampton in the Premier League, I thought he did a really, really good job, an underrated job there. And he did well to keep Wolfsburg up comfortably in the end last season after being kind of appointed as a Feuerwehrmann, as they say over here in Germany, the kind of Mr. Fix-It, so to speak. But yeah, basically, he's got the job for another year, and I think he's going to be the man who has to take them to the next level really now, because Wolfsburg have been poor for too long, ultimately. I think the last time they were good was the first season we did this show, Rory, and that was under Oliver Glasner when they got Champions League really impressively. But since then, it's just been 3 rubbish seasons, basically, in truth. Obviously, finally under Niko Kovac last season. I think the signings are relatively impressive, but they've already got a squad that's packed with quality, so they shouldn't need like a full dissection really of Wolfsburg, because they've got so many good players there. The likes of Maya, who barely even got out of third gear last season. The Croatian international, who looked pretty impressive in the Euros. They have signed a replacement for Casteels already, by the way. They've got Kamil Grabara from FC Copenhagen, the Polish keeper, for 13.5 million euros. So that's quite a lot of money by Bundesliga standards. They've also brought in Bent Dardai as well, the son of Paul Dardai, one of the many sons of Paul Dardai. But yeah, he looked really good as well in the Zweite Liga last season. I saw him a couple of times and he looks like a good signing as well. And yeah, I think Frankfurt for me have probably won the transfer on the signings so far. To be honest, I think Frankfurt have been really, really signed well. Like that looks like Champions League ambition for me. The signings so far from them, and I totally agree with you, Rory, on Ekitike. I think the way he finished the season with 5 in 5, he was absolutely wonderful, wasn't he? Absolutely wonderful. And I think he's going to... And Chanozun, don't even get me started. Yeah, I still miss him at Nuremberg, but wow, we're going to have some fun watching him. I'm really sure of that. I mean, obviously saw him on a regular basis last season, and he, as a 17-year-old, he started the season as a 17-year-old, and he was just laughably good. By far and away, Nuremberg, probably the best player I've seen since I've been here in Nuremberg. I would go that far. He pretty much carried the team on his own at times. And, Nuremberg got a good fee for him. 11 million euros is a good amount of money for a Zweite Bundesliga team. But we'll definitely miss him. We'll miss him a lot. But I'm so looking forward to seeing him here in the Bundesliga. They've got another one from Nuremberg as well. Let's not forget Nathaniel Brown, too. They also got him. I believe he's not been loaned out again so far. And he's a defender, a right back from Nuremberg as well. So we could potentially see him as well. Yeah, an impressive German. He's a German youth international, but he's also got American heritage as well, I'd like to believe. Yeah. So Peter, no doubt Peter will enjoy watching and commentating on him. Yeah, as you say, there's so many good signings. Robin Koch, yeah. I think obviously Ballum's already put us right on that one. I think also the signings of Christiansen as well, the right back on loan from Leeds as well, is a good one too, because they were struggling a little bit at full back last season. I think the loss of Pacho will be a big loss though as well. That has just gone through today. He was their best defender by quite a distance last season, and he was starting to build a good partnership with himself and Robin Koch, but yeah, basically he's gone, so we'll have to see. But yeah, it's been a very good window for them, and I think Stuttgart, I think they've been rinsed. Basically, they've lost obviously Anton, Gurasi. They've lost a whole laundry list of players. Basically, Ito, as you say, potentially more as well. Although it does seem as though rumours have gone quiet on the likes of Stiller, which is hopefully they don't get snapped up as well. But I just have so much faith in what Hernes is doing, and I do believe they'll be okay. They brought in Demirovic, who has potential to go on to be a great player as well for them. I just think it's looking good for Stuttgart still. They've got Champions League coming up. There's going to be so much feel-good factor at that club, and they've still got a little bit more time to add some names. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get a few high-profile loans in as well, considering they got Champions League. So they're going to have appeal for a player to go there, even just for a year on loan. Yeah. So they've got more business to do, and I think if they don't lose more than another one or two players, they'll have another good season. But not quite good enough for the top four, but still a 5th place finish for me.
Yeah. One slice of news that I read a couple of hours ago is that there's apparently been some more positive talks with Brighton about Undav. Undav obviously wants to stay at Stuttgart, which is is a brilliant starting point for the club. Brighton have been hardballing Stuttgart all the way through the summer, which is really annoying. And obviously wanting to get money for him. Obviously, now that they've got the same Pauli head coach, it kind of maybe changes their stance on the player and obviously how well he did. But it's clear that Undav wants Stuttgart. Hopefully, positive talks. If that goes through, absolutely cementing us. Hopefully, in that top 5. If they don't, I know they have plans to get other players as well in terms of the striker. Right, so we're on to the top 4. And I think what we can just do is that we'll just name our picks 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So do you want to just tell me straight away, who have you got 4th?
So in 4th place, you want? Yeah, so in 4th, I've actually gone for Borussia Dortmund this year. Mostly because of the manager situation. I don't know if you want my explanation, but I feel as though probably in my opinion, the dud of the season was getting rid of Edin Terzic and bringing in Nuri Sahin. I just don't see how that's an improvement. You know what I mean? It's almost like sacking your head of PE and bringing in a juvenile PE teacher, basically, because for me, Dortmund should have a better coach regardless. They should have a top European coach. And Terzic, he did have the vibe of a PE teacher, but he was a good PE teacher. That's the thing. Whereas Nuri Sahin, I mean, come on, man. It's just... For me, that's just a suicide signing in many ways. I mean, they're going back to basics 2 years ago, really, in many ways. And I think Terzic, we liked him on this show. He was rated, and they brought in a complete rookie. And for me, it's not the time with the strength at the top of the Bundesliga at this moment. It's not the time to be bringing in a rookie. And I hope I'm wrong because it's overdue time that BVB win the Bundesliga again. But for me, it just wasn't a step in the right direction, despite good signings overall for me.
Interesting. Okay. Well, in 4th place, I've got RB Leipzig. So we'll chew the fat. We'll chew the fat on that in a second. So who have you got in 3rd place?
3rd, RB Leipzig. Yeah, I've gone for Leipzig. And you, Rory?
Yeah. And in 3rd place for me, I've got Bayern.
Wow.
So
okay.
as you can probably do the maths, I have got Dortmund in 2nd. So I think, process of elimination, you can tell who me and Mark have picked for champions. We'll talk about that in a second. I just have a funny feeling about Dortmund. And yeah, I completely get your rationale behind Sahin and Terzic moving on. For Bayern and Dortmund, it feels like a new era. It feels like a clean slate. It feels like a clean slate for loads of teams actually this season, in terms of great change. For Dortmund, Terzic was well liked, but he had limitations. The legends have moved on. Royce and Hummels have gone. They've not kept a hold of Sancho. They've not kept a hold of Maatsen. I think the latter is more of an issue. Marius Wolf has moved on. I just feel like it was the right time for all of that to happen. They clearly wanted Maatsen, they clearly wanted Sancho, but they can't afford him. So they've gone for different signings. Obviously, signing Seru Girassi, I think, is absolutely huge. Obviously, not that I'm happy about it, but it's absolutely epic for them as a club in terms of a goal scorer. bringing in Anton as well as your Hummel's replacement is really solid business. And if Anton is on this upward trajectory, then that's real smart business. If he can play and create a good partnership with Schlotterbeck, then they'll be on something really impressive. As much as bringing in a more experienced Pascal Gross is not massively like headline grabbing, he is a player who's only getting better with age and was sought after by many clubs, and that I feel is a really strong signing for their midfield. Still have worries about their fullbacks. Obviously, they've got Couto from Man City and Rota, who's come back from Kiel, who did really well in the Zweite for Holstein Kiel. So again, we'll see fresh faces in the league, I'm sure. So it kind of feels like a punt to nothing, but I think we'll just see something a bit more fresh from them, and therefore maybe there'll be less pressure because of Sahin's fresh start and his inexperience. So that's kind of why I've talked myself into it, and I could be made to look like the fool, which is often the case, which is fine. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on Bayern anyway? Why have you got Bayern in second place?
Yeah, Bayern in second place just because, basically I'm not overly impressed with the squad. I'm going to be honest. I think obviously it's still a good squad. Let's not joke here. It's a very, very good squad of footballers, but it's more a case not that it's not a very good squad. It's more that it's not an improvement on last season for me. I really don't believe it is. I think the other issue is there's so many unhappy players at that club at the minute. It's borderline ridiculous, really. I think Kimmich, nobody knows. I don't even think he knows what's going on in his head. He's having like a mid-career crisis, Joshua Kimmich, at the minute, because he doesn't know whether he's a fullback or a midfielder. He doesn't know where he plays. He doesn't know if he wants to leave Bayern or sign a new contract. It's just, it can't be good for him. And I felt as though he looked moody the whole of last season as well. I mean, whether that was a problem with Thomas Tuchel, maybe is possible, but he just didn't seem to enjoy playing at all last season, really. He's lost his place as a midfielder. He's now a right back. I would imagine that's going to continue again this season from what I've heard. But I mean, I don't know whether he's going to get moved back into midfield. He's having a crisis. Alphonso Davies has just had a massive dip in his form in general in his career. He's another one that, for me, probably needs a move, really. I'm surprised he's not pushed a little bit harder to get that move to Real Madrid, which he seemed to want earlier in the year last year. Who they brought in, Joao Palhinha, I think he's obviously a good player, but I mean, he's never really played for a top club before, and I think he was very good in his first season for Fulham. But from what I heard, he didn't quite hit the same standards the second season. A lot of that is probably because he wanted out. Let's be honest, he probably did want out after that first season at Fulham. But again, for 51 million for him, 29 years old, not overly convinced by that. Michael Olise, I think he's a great player. He is a great player, but he's injury prone. And is he really a step up on Kingsley Coman? I'm not really sure. I think they've already got quality in that position. That's Bayern's strongest position. The wide forwards, Sane, Kingsley Coman. I would have thought one of them would have left as well as a result of the Olise signing. So, is that going to lead to overcrowding in certain positions? They were linked with Dani Olmo. It looks like that's not going to go through. I think that would have been a signing that would have impressed me if they could have got Dani Olmo, because I think he's the kind of guy they need. They're probably not going to get Florian Wirtz now unless they really, really decide to go big on him in the last few weeks, but it doesn't look likely. And I just don't see that this is a squad that is going to win the Bundesliga. No, and obviously on top of that, Vincent Kompany is still a rookie manager as far as I'm concerned. Burnley fans wanted him sacked pretty much the whole of last season, and then he ends up rocking up at Bayern Munich, one of the hottest seats in Europe. So still not convinced by him. And I just feel as though it's a good standard at the top of the Bundesliga, as it normally is. And Bayern Munich are not my top pick this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Exactly what you say. So we have to separate it out and lock in a top four. So you have Bayern second and I have Bayern third. And then the major the major difference that we have right now is that I think I'd put Dortmund second, and you've got Leipzig third. So what can we do here? I'd be willing to lock in Leipzig as third. If you got Leipzig third, yeah. Okay, so let's go Leipzig third. I can agree with that. And then Bayern. Okay, let's put Bayern second, just because it's Bayern. And then I don't mind slotting Dortmund back to fourth. Maybe the rookie nature is sat in, perhaps. But I think you can really put a blanket over those three. I think it will be really close and hotly contested. For sure. So we'll go with
what's
that.
your reasoning behind Leipzig? We've obviously got a Leipzig fan in the chat, so he's going to want to hear what your reasoning for Leipzig only finishing third is then. So do you think
I have Leipzig fourth, just because I see steady improvement. Obviously the big draw is the fact that they've got Xabi Simons back in, basically beaten Bayern to him. The squad is just as strong for Marco Rose to build on. Also signing the young man from Schalke, and you can take his name, Mark. Asan
Uedraogo.
Okay, that's what the six side the fans. Certainly for me. I see steady improvement. The younger players in that squad, Luca Burst, Sievald, obviously huge at the start of the transfer window. Šeško making his choice clear that he'd stay at Leipzig another season. Openda will only get more consistent. So it's not a team that's been disrupted too much. The one obviously big hesitation I have is centered around Dani Olmo, but they have survived patches, big patches of football and time without Olmo, because he has had his injury troubles. So there's no great reason why I haven't put Leipzig further up. It's just that I feel in recent seasons, since we've been doing the show as well, that I've kind of bigged them up more so, and they've disappointed me. So maybe if I put them in fourth place, that they'll have a stormer and really take the league on. I think the reason why I haven't dotted them up one is because I've just gone for this random punt on Dortmund, and maybe it's a silly thing to do. But yeah, from a kind of thoughts and feelings around Leipzig, I think they'll be stronger than last season. I think they'll be more consistent, and if they cut out some of those silly draws where they should have scored 3, 4, 5 goals, then they'll definitely be closer to it. I guess just recent memory, muscle memory is the fact that they struggled sometimes in those games. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But it wouldn't shock me if they were that more consistent side. Then they'll definitely push Dortmund and Bayern for second and third, 100%. So that's my kind of peace of mind. We'll happily slot in our champions then, our predicted champions for this current season. And I know we've been going for about 50 minutes or so, and we don't want to not give Leverkusen their due credit, Mark. And why do you have Leverkusen making it 2 for 2 this season? And I'm guessing a lot of your thinking will be the same as everyone's, and indeed mine.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not go for them after what they served up last season? The unbeaten season, 28 wins, 6 draws, Pokal winners as well. Obviously, the only thing they weren't able to complete was the Europa League. But this year, they will have the Champions League to contend with. But I don't see that being a major problem for them. They've kept Xabi Alonso, which is probably the biggest news of all, let's be honest, really, because he is the mastermind that pulls it all together, this brilliant squad of players together, and makes them a world-class team. They have also strengthened as well. They brought in Martin Terrier from Stade Rennes. I would imagine he's probably just going to be to bulk them up a little bit, because they are going to have this expanded Champions League as well. I'm not sure how much of him we'll see. That they did bring him in for 20 million, so I wouldn't imagine he's just going to bench one the whole season. But I would imagine they might slowly bring him in. Alex Garcia, for me, is probably the most impressive signing they brought in, from FC Girona, the Spanish central midfielder. And they're probably going to need him right from the off as well, with the news that Palacios has picked up, I think, an 8-week knock potentially. So it looks like we might see him straight from the off as well, which for me is fine. I think from what I've seen of him, he's a very good player. He played for a Girona team that miraculously finished third last season in La Liga, and will also be playing Champions League this year. And then the other major signing they brought in was a central defender, a young central defender, Balassian, from Rennes as well. So they've kind of really raided Rennes there a little bit, haven't they? But I mean, for me, you just can't doubt anything that Xabi does at this moment. You can't really doubt, because everything he touches, apart from that Europa League final in Dublin, turns to gold, basically. And for me, I do have trust in all three of those major signings. And basically not any real major departures either so far. Apart from, I suppose you've got to call Stanisic is a major departure, although he was only on loan. So Bayern have kind of hardballed them a little bit. I think initially Stanisic said he wanted to stay because of Xabi Alonso, but I think Bayern wanted to get at least one small victory last season over Leverkusen, and they've taken back their man who, to be honest, they probably regret loaning to a Leverkusen in the first place, to be honest.
100%.
Well, I mean, he's actually going to be maybe a big talking point for Bayern as well, because I would imagine they have to put him into the first team, really, because otherwise he basically said he wants to leave for Leverkusen, and they said no, they have him in the plans and everything. So he's going to be one to watch. But obviously in the red at Bayern Munich, they've not really lost anyone else important, basically. They've only Sada Azmoun, who basically didn't get a look in for the last two seasons, and a few fringe players, and that's it, basically. Aside from that, they've kept everyone. I think they've shown massive bottle in what they've done with Jonathan Tah as well. I think this is the Xabi Alonso effect, you see, that we've been asking for years in the Bundesliga, where teams are hardballing Bayern Munich, basically. And in the past, anyone would have said, yes, sir, please take him, your majesty. Do you know what I mean? But basically, Leverkusen are not going to do that anymore. They're going to say, you pay over the odds for him or you don't get him. It's as simple as that. And as things stand, I'm not even sure if they're going to get Jonathan Tah, because money keeps going up and up and up all the time. And Leverkusen have come out basically and said, look, if you don't pay what we want, you're not getting him. So this is the big change in mentality. Even if they do get him, they wanted him at the beginning of June. Now it's the beginning of August, and they've still not got him in the ranks. So even if they do get him now, then he's going to miss the whole pre-season, and it's not as ideal as if they got him 2 months ago, Rory, for me.
Yeah, 100%. It's all linked with this, this transfer triangle of, De Ligt and Mazraoui are massively linked with United. United want the players want to go to United, but United aren't meeting Bayern's expectations financially. Bayern want Tah, but they can't afford to get Tah yet because they haven't got the money for De Ligt and Mazraoui. So yeah, it's a bit of a kind of transfer triangle, if you will, right now. If Leverkusen do let Tah go, they're already lining up Joel Matip on a free. Could be a smart piece of business, experienced player, experienced head. And Moritz was saying in the chat, why don't they do a swap deal, Tah for Stanisic, which would be logical. And as he said, they're not rumours, but it would be a logical thing to do. I completely agree. But swap deals are indefinitely harder things to do these days. But yeah, I mean, it's the logical thing to say Leverkusen will be our champions at the end of the season, but either way around, we can't wait to see it all play out. I'm honestly fascinated by how Bayern will look under Kompany. There's going to be so many fresh faces, like you say, even in that right back position. At the moment, they've got Mazraoui, Sasha Bowie, Joshua Kimmich, and Mazraoui. That's 4 right backs. So no wonder they're trying to get rid of Mazraoui. No wonder they're not that fussed about Kimmich. They're backing Stanisic by the looks of it. So there's your 4 right backs. Either way around, we'll get into the hooks and crooks of that as we go through the season. So I think that pretty much locks us in for this prediction show. It's been great fun to go through it and muddle our way through. So this is how we think is going to end. I'll try and zoom out a little bit. There we go. So we reckon St. Pauli and Bochum will go down automatically with Holstein Kiel in the playoff spot. Lower mid-table will be Heidenheim struggling with Augsburg, Union and Freiburg. Therefore, after Werder, Gladbach, Mainz and Hoffenheim propping up mid-table. European spots going to Wolfsburg, Frankfurt and Stuttgart. A top 4 consisting of Dortmund, Leipzig and Bayern, and our champion is going to be Leverkusen. So all there is really to say is thank you to everyone for watching and engaging. We're absolutely thrilled to be back. We will be doing pre-season content pretty much for the next few weeks, and then obviously we'll be going into regular season. And obviously just keep your eyes peeled on social media for everything in that sense. Before I hand over to Mark to close up again, just a shout out to obviously Bundesliga boxes giveaway that we're doing. Head over to X to find out all those details. It's the pinned tweet, so you can't miss it. Make sure you get your entries in. And again, a shout out to the secret link that we've been able to work up with Bundesliga boxes. It's in the description, and it allows you early access to that batch 43. So make sure you treat yourself to a fantastic batch coming up. So I'll gladly hand over to you, Mark, to close up our first show of our 5th season.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, then check out our Twitter feed at Over the Bar FB and at Village Footy 20 as well. Also, don't forget to check out our Instagram as well. We're going to start advertising that a little bit more as well at Over the Bar FB. And yeah, don't forget that we're going to have, it's a long season. We're going to be, giving you constant content as well. It might be a little bit slower the first week or two, but then when the season kicks off, it's going to get, 2 to 3 shows a week. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get to know when every one of our shows is going live. We've got a lot planned for you this season. We've got watch-alongs, potentially some early on as well. We like to kick off the season with a few watch-alongs. Obviously, myself and Peter mostly will be doing the live vlogs as well, hopefully getting all over the Bundesrepublik this season. So don't forget to check that out as well. And thank you very much, guys, for checking in today. Thanks, Ballon, for the funny comments as well, and Justin and Moritz, as always, for your excellent commentary. So see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.